What if I told you there were two things you could do that would extend your life, maybe to 80 years old like me, or maybe to 111 like Selma, who I've talked about before in my video on you, if you ain't dead, you ain't done. That's right. I believe there are two things that you can either learn or you're already doing that will be a wonderful asset for your life. This is Old Mike, my channel, Old Me Living Better. If you like it, click like. If you want to subscribe for more content, please do that. So I started working with seniors when I was 48 years old. And I'm 80 now, so that's quite a while. I noticed a couple of years after starting working with seniors, I noticed something that the older seniors had in common. I'm talking about 70, 80, 90, even up to 100. They seem to have a couple of things in common. And at that time, I was a member of the American Society of Aging, and I went to a conference in San Diego one year, and one of the breakout sessions I went to was on the subject that I want to introduce to you. It's the first of the two things that are critical to having a longer life. And the first one is reminiscing. That's right, reminiscing. That's different than ruminating. Ruminating is when you're thinking of things over and over from your past and they're negative and destructive. Reminiscing is a powerful thing. But I discovered that when I started working with seniors, the kids of the seniors kept complaining to me, Grandpa, Grandma, they're stuck in the past. They keep repeating these same stories over and over and over again. Can you help me stop it? Well, I discovered that you don't want to stop reminiscing. As a matter of fact, we all do this. I just celebrated my 80th birthday. My whole family got together to celebrate that birthday from all over the U.S. And you know what we did? Everybody from teenagers to me, 80 years old, we sat there, we were all reminiscing. We were telling stories of growing up, stories from the past. Even the youngest in our family, retelling events, retelling stories. I'm sure you've experienced that when you've been with a family gathering. Sometimes, we hear the same story over and over and over again at family gatherings. Thanksgiving's not too far away. You're going to be getting together for Thanksgiving, and you're probably going to hear some of these stories over again. In that kind of a context, we tend to laugh at those stories. And as a matter of fact, they seem to get better every year, right? And, it's a wonderful thing to reminisce. Now, as you grow older, guess what? You have more things to reminisce about. Reminiscing is a positive thing. It's bringing up memories that give us a good feeling, that reinforce our identity, that give us a place of context in life. And as I've grown older, I don't need a whole crowd to reminisce. I mean, I can be sitting here in my den, and I can start thinking about events and circumstances in my life. And I replay it in my head. I'm reminiscing. I'm not speaking it out. I'm just reminiscing in my mind. There's a wonderful thing that happens, though, when I'm doing that. I feel a sense of peace. I feel a sense of joy. It's a wonderful thing. Eugene Peterson, talking about life, he said, "We've never done this before." I love that quote. If you're 14 or 15 or 16, by the way, it's amazing how many young people watch my channel. I've got several young people who want to adopt me as their grandpa. I love that, okay? But no matter how old you are, you've never done this before. I'm 80. I've never done 80 before. If you're 16, you've never done 16 before. Part of the reinforcement of growing in life is learning from what you have done before, and it reinforces you to be able to go forward. Helen Keller, here's another quote. Life is either a daring adventure or nothing at all. I absolutely love that. A daring adventure or nothing at all. I hope your life is a daring adventure. When you learn to reminisce and you learn the peace and the joy and the education you get from reminiscing, part of reminiscing is maybe evaluating and re-evaluating the things in your life. That can really be beneficial. Now, the second thing, and this may be the most important, this is the most important to me over the last 4 or 5 years, and it's taken me a while to figure it out. Besides noticing the old people that I was working with when I started working with old people, besides reminiscing, they had a tendency to wander off into space. Sometimes I'm talking to somebody and I realize, man, they're thinking about something else. And I remember thinking when that first happened, it reminded me of my youth. I had a terrible time with this. I mean, my parents, my teachers were always on my case because my mind was wandering. I had a wandering mind, all through from elementary school to graduate school. I was a C student. One of the reasons that I was probably a C student is because my mind was all over the place. I couldn't concentrate or couldn't focus very well. But guess what? I ended up being a pretty creative and resourceful person. And then I learned that mind wandering isn't something that's unhealthy. It is something that can really be healthy. Now, I love this book. I've mentioned it before. You see, when you get this old, you can't remember where you put your glasses at. Whoop, here they are. So here it is, Stolen Focus. I'm going to put it on the screen. I'm going to put a link in the description. I want you to go buy this book. Now, the Amazon link there, you'll get the lowest price on Amazon. It's an affiliate link, so I get a commission. That helps the channel. Oh, by the way, if you want to help the channel, buy me a cup of coffee. I got a link down below. You can do that. With the price of coffee today, man, I can use every penny, right? Stolen Focus. Here's an absolutely wonderful concept that I'd never thought about, and you really need to think about. This book by Hari, a wonderful author. I don't agree with everything in the book, but I got to tell you, chapter 5 is worth buying the whole book. So he says, this isn't just me reading. It is true of life. Some mind wandering is essential for things to make sense. Mind wandering is essential for things to make sense. If you couldn't do it, Jonathan told me, he's interviewing someone, so many other things would go out the window. He has found that the more you let your mind wander, the better you are at having organized personal goals, being creative, making patient long-term decisions. You'll be able to do these things better if you let your mind drift and slowly, unconsciously, make sense of your life. Now, when I read that not too long ago, it opened up a whole door. So every morning I get up around 5 o'clock and I spend an hour. I read a book, I read the Bible, and I write in my journal. Over the years, I've beat myself up because during that hour that I've dedicated to doing those things, my mind wanders. I'm wandering off into this, and I'm wandering off into that. I'm back in elementary school. Teacher's talking, I'm thinking about something else, right? After I read this, and I began to think about it, I began to embrace the mind wandering. I read this just before I launched this YouTube channel. This goes back about 4 months ago. During that process, once I decided to launch my YouTube channel, I kept this journal next to me all the time. I kept that and my Plod dictation device. Now, I've talked about that in another video and I won't go into it. But I want to tell you the process that took place with the mind wandering. So I'm in my study time, and I'm getting these ideas for a YouTube channel. Rather than say, oh no, don't go there. Your mind is wandering. According to Hari, that's where the creativity lives. It lives in this sidebar. By the way, there's science that says that both reminiscing and mind wandering resides in the same place in the brain. There's a creative side. There's a joy side. There's a life side somewhere in the brain. And in that, if you allow it to take place, you will dive into a treasure trove of wonderful things. So I kept this journal beside me, and then while I'm doing my devotions, this hour in the morning, I started going down the rabbit hole. I put the devotion aside. I followed where my mind was wandering. And in that process, you know what happened? By the time I launched my YouTube channel, I had 150 topic ideas, and I'd actually scripted out probably 50 of them. I've been practicing this mind wandering with some pretty effective results, both in my personal life, business life, continuing to work with seniors. I just given my mind and myself more permission to let my mind wander. So does any of this strike home with you? If it does, tell me in the comments below. Does your mind wander? Have you beaten yourself up? Have your parents and people told you, hey man, you stay on focus? You know, focus is very overrated. That's why Hari wrote the book, Stolen Focus. It's a great book that helps put focus in its proper place. There's a time for focusing, but there's a time for mind wandering. And if you've beaten yourself up over mind wandering, and other people have, and you've bought into that, I want to give you a sense of freedom. Matter of fact, it will extend your life. I believe that reminiscing and mind wandering in my life. You see my guitar on the background. That's my baby Martin. I've got several Martin guitars. I love the guitar. I started playing the guitar when I was 14 years old. And the creative side of me, my poetry side, my art side, all of that, as I think about it, came out of the wandering side of my mind. I think it's helped me to live to be 80 years old. Reminiscing, mind wandering. I'm hoping that you will get some freedom from what I'm sharing with you. Now, it may be a challenge because you've thought both reminiscing and mind wandering are both negative things. I'm here to tell you they're not. They're positive. Now, if you like this video, I hope you click the like button. I hope you subscribe. Leave me some comments about what you think. I have a couple of more videos coming up that I think you're really going to like. They're going to be freeing for life. They'll be freeing. They were freeing for. I'm only sharing what I've learned. I'm not sharing what somebody else. I'm sharing what I've learned. I hope it encourages you. I want to encourage you today. I'll see you next time. This is Old Mike, Old Me, living better.